Hey now, welcome back to the Disrupting Podcast. Today we are so lucky to have Michael Moe, the CEO of KULR Technology Group, join us. Today we're going to find out how KULR Technology is taking their space-proven solutions for electronics and lithium-ion batteries to better serve the world of electric transportation, energy storage, battery safety, 5G infrastructure, cloud computing, aerospace. I mean, the list goes on. This is a multi-dimensional company that, again, we're all excited to learn more about. So, with that said, Alex, you want to kick us off here?
Absolutely. And again, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you joining us. So, obviously, a lot of people follow me, follow Disrupting. They know that we're big into innovative, disruptive companies, especially in the green energy sector and EVs. And the biggest thing is when it comes to battery technology. So, only recently, consumers have really started to understand the importance of thermal management in consumer products like EVs, electronics, mobile devices, you name it. But can you explain to anyone in our audience who might be new to the subject matter, what is thermal management technology and why is it so important?
Yeah. Hey, Alex. Hey, Dana and Rob. Hey, guys. Thanks for having us here today. So it's certainly a pleasure to be here. And yeah, thermal management is it's basically is to keep your electronics, your batteries cool or warm in different in this ideal operating conditions. Under different weather conditions, and that is to enhance the performance. To make the product more reliable, to be safer. And then in many of those areas, thermal management is critical to these applications. So as an example, right? So our parts on the Mars rover program were part of their Sherlock instrument. So if you can think about it, like Mars temperature swing between minus 70 degrees to above 70 degrees in a 24-hour span.
Wow.
So when you have that kind of temperature swing, it makes the very sensitive equipment on the Sherlock instrument, such as the lasers, the sensors, and all those instruments. They all need to be operating in the ideal temperature, environment. So our thermal management solution is on there to keep them in a nice, warm, or kind of really nice temperature without being affected that huge temperature swing. So it's like us, right? I mean, it's like these batteries and instruments, they're like human beings. They don't like to be super cold. They don't like to be super hot. So they need to be in a nice, comfortable temperature. And that's what really thermal management is. So some of the extreme cases, we probably all experience our iPhones, our laptops being too hot, right? Especially in the hot weather when you plug into a car, it is running GPS in the background, you're chatting on your phone, and the phone can overheat, and sometimes it will shut down because it gets so hot. So for high performance computing like cloud and talk about AI, crypto mining, and those chips can run very hot. And then a lot of energy gets used to cool those chips down. And then to have better thermal management will make these operations more efficient, consume less energy, and make the whole operation more sustainable and make the operators more profitable, right? Mm-hmm. And then for the battery case, we've all seen some form of other videos of either EV blowing up or a hoverboard or something, so some kind of battery blowing up. And these are high energy products, and when they get too hot, they go into something called a thermal runaway and thermal runaway propagation. And then that event can be catastrophic. So like I said earlier, for performance, for reliability, for safety, thermal management is very important in the modern day electronics applications.
Well, you make a great point on thermal runaway. I mean, you can just YouTube this. You'll find a bunch of examples of things blowing up, catching on fire, etc.
Well, I will walk us through, the company as it is right now and where you got there, because right now we're looking at you because I came through for the EV space, right? Because I'm looking at batteries, reading a GM story, for example, of the bolts. Let's just say experiencing your thermal runaway. But at the same time, you guys are a lot more than that. And to me, that's actually kind of neat in the fact that you talk about, heat management, because in space, it's not always heat that you're wanting to get rid of. Sometimes it's heat you want to do, but talk to how we got here.
Yeah. No, that's yeah. We started a company 2013. I started with Dr. Tim Knowles, our co-founder, or my co-founder. I come from a 25-year history, kind of experience in semiconductor industry. So that's kind of my background, and I realized that heat is a limiting factor for performance and reliability for the semiconductor industry. So I've known Tim for a long time, and he and his team, now the KULR team, has been working on carbon fiber-based thermal management solution for aerospace defense for now over 30 years. So using carbon fiber, right? So the parts are on the Mars rover I talked about, was on the International Space Station, Mercury Messenger, numerous different aerospace and defense programs where high performance, lightweight is very important. So I saw a need for taking that technology into chips and batteries back in 2013. And we've been executing on a strategy of continue to innovate and develop cutting edge technology with our aerospace and defense customers, such as NASA, Department of Energy, and the DoD folks, because they have the highest, the kind of performance requirements. And then meanwhile, you also need to work with regulators and standard bodies, because when you deal with battery safety, the regulators and standard bodies is very important to set the standard for the rest of the industry. So we work with FAA, which is Federal Aviation Administration. We work with DOT, DOE, UN, UL. Really invested over the last number of years the time and effort to work with those folks to let them know that technology that we're commercializing from the aerospace world is coming to the mass market, and to make sure that what we develop is in line with the regulatory roadmap. Okay, and then what you do is that you take a solution that's space proven, you work on costing it down and solve real life problems, combined with regulatory blessing, if you will, and then go to the market. That combination is what we think is our competitive advantage, and it's the go-to-market strategy over the long term. So, like I said, we started 2013. We started a company. 2015, we started working on lithium-ion battery safety with Johnson Space Center, because Dr. Eric Darcy started working on that to put lithium-ion batteries into the astronauts' power bank. And then we start filing IP around that technology we developed for them, received multiple IP approval, the patent approval in 2018, 19, and 20. 2018, we start licensing NASA technology, internal short circuit, which is their test for battery safety for space programs. We become the exclusive licensee for that. We commercialize that. Now we got EV customers, electric plane customers, power tool companies, those customers utilizing that technology to test for battery safety. 2019, our thermal runaway shield safe case got onto International Space Station to protect the astronauts' laptop batteries. And 2020, the Mars rover program. And now we're in 2021, where some of those initiatives are starting to show up, such as we received the 3 special permits from Department of Transportation to ship recycled batteries, prototype batteries, and DDR batteries up to 2.1 kilowatt hours. So that's a perfect example of really taking the technology that we developed for NASA on the International Space Station, work with regulators such as DOT, get the permit, and now we're serving recycling customers such as Heritage Battery Recycling, now called Retrieve Technologies, to go into market with this. And that's kind of how the food chain or the sequence event works. And now we're in 2021. We're just on a tremendous trajectory to grow the business. To give you some ideas, beginning of the year, we had 11 people. Now we're 33, going to 35 people. Wow. We moved to a new facility that's 15,000 square feet, 5,000. Wow. We have a new team. Our president COO, Keith Cochran, comes from 24 years at Jabil. He was running the iPhone business. So 65,000 people, $4 billion P&L. He left that, and he's been a long-term friend of me and the company. So he joined us, brought the team, scale up the operation. We have a new VP of Sales and Marketing, Greg Provenzano, 30 some years of experience managing our sales and marketing initiative. So really growing out the team, growing out the infrastructure, growing out the technology portfolio. So exiting 2021 will be in really good shape in terms of growth trajectory. We'll be investing heavily into all assets of our business. So expect coming out of 2022, I'm kind of jumping ahead a year now, you're going to be looking at a very different KULR than you're seeing us today. You probably see some of the things that we talked about at Battery Solutions Day, such as the Cell Check product, which is going into hardware, software, and management, intelligent management software platform of the battery. We really believe that you need to have an integrated solution, hardware, software, services, and a lot of data. Eventually combine that with AI at the edge and at the cloud to provide a greater solution. So making a lot of investment into that. At the end of the day, we're gonna. And also we're developing our new battery architecture using carbon fiber inside the cell. You talk about heat, right? So it's about fast charging, higher energy density. That's a long-term kind of moonshot investment and development for us. But at the end of the day, we're going to exit 2022 and 2023. I'm jumping 2 years ahead now. As a very different platform company than where you see us today. And we want to position us as a one-stop shop for thermal energy management solution and battery safety for the whole industry. And with the broadest range of IP and solutions, both developed internally here at KULR and also through licensing, partnership, and strategic acquisitions. So that's the growth trajectory that we're on.
Well, and you guys went public earlier this year in July, correct? And
yeah,
your body of work to date in the private sector has just been amazing. You know, what motivated you guys to go public, if you don't mind me asking there?
Yeah, well, that's probably an easy answer, but let me step back a little bit. So we have been trading on the OTCQB market for 2 years.
Yeah.
So prior to, was fortunate enough to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange on June 7th, I think this year. We've been trading on the QB market for about 2 years, since 2018. And that's really frankly, that's actually a really good experience for us, or kind of a training ground. It's like playing NCAA before you play in the,
in the NBA.
Yeah, in the NBA, right? So it got us in the good rhythm of being a reporting company. So we report every quarter, gone through auditors, get to the rhythm and all the financial reporting, disclosure, SARBOX, everything. You have to follow all the rules, but you don't get all the benefit of being on the stock exchange. Yeah. So we were fortunate enough to close additional financing in May and qualify to uplist on the New York Stock Exchange, American Exchange in June. Since then, it's really to bring more awareness to the story, bring more shareholder base to the story. And you guys find us. We recently found out that Vanguard is our third largest shareholder. So they own over 3% of KULR now. So apparently our story is resonating with some people. And I think I would have been told that these large funds do not usually buy into micro caps and companies below $5 price point. So it's truly an honor to have Vanguard as a shareholder. Kind of validation. We found that State Street, Northern Trust, Schwab funds are all shareholders of KULR in one form or another. So super fortunate about that, super appreciative, and I think we're just on the early stage of getting our stories out there, getting the growth story out there. Yeah,
Michael, I wanted to follow something up though. You talked about, and if you don't want to talk about this is great. But the one that I'm interested in, you talked about your software there, which absolutely makes it's as if heat management suddenly became cognizant. Right. And how that right there, you look at how, for example, in the Nissan Leaf, the generation 1 and 2 had problems with heat and they lost battery capacity over time because they didn't have a way to cool it. Then you start seeing Modine came into Tesla, put a fan in there, but you're taking it a step further with your software here. And this is an interesting area. Can you talk about how you're making the heat absolutely more addressable to the customers?
Yeah. Let me see. So we will be. Let me just tell you this way. We will be demoing our cell check software at the AABC, which is Advanced Automotive Battery Conference in December 7th in San Diego. That's when we do the big unveil of the product. You'll see that. And by the time this video gets aired, this is already out there. The way we approach this is you got to look at it from a holistic point of view. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of our core product is a passive propagation resistant. These are passive components, but then you get a lot of data, you get a lot of sensing capabilities, you get a lot of data from these passive parts, and that data should be captured. These data should be analyzed, and these data should be used to control your active hardware in an integrated way. That's how we think about it, and that's why we develop CellCheck. So CellCheck is a platform that, combined with our hardware component, gets the data in, process it, localize it at your battery pack level or at your fleet level. And then as you get more data, it gets smarter and smarter. So there's building AI engine around that. And it will eventually give you predictive and preventative signals about the health and conditions of your components. And then together with the hardware part, we believe that combination is going to give you the best total solution out there. You mentioned a couple large OEMs like Nissan and GM and so forth. We believe that all these large OEMs, many of them will start developing, or maybe developing these capabilities internally. But when you look at the whole battery universe, it's more than just cars. Tons of power tools, consumer electronics, bikes, e-mobilities, everything is powered by batteries. So some of the largest of the large OEMs may have the internal capability to develop similar technologies, but the smaller vendors, they just can't, right? I like to make analogies such as, Amazon versus Shopify, okay? Amazon has the best e-commerce engine, but 99% of the people can't afford that. So guess what they do? They go to Shopify to get their e-commerce engine. We like to be the Shopify of the battery engine, right? So GM will have all its capabilities, but everybody else, they would just buy from us. So I think there's a huge market for something like this.
And I appreciate how comprehensive you are with this because, again, this is a multi-dimensional company. I'm curious, too, you've talked about how it's going to impact EVs, energy storage. What about something like 5G infrastructure?
Yeah, 5G, I think we categorize 5G infrastructure, cloud computing, AI, and actually crypto mining, all that stuff into a bucket called the high-performance computing. Right, so this is all about higher CPU, GPU performance, faster networks. So that's all semiconductor, and it's really about how to take away a lot of heat from a very small and tight space in this high performance computing environment. Called the cloud. They call it the data center. So I think that our carbon fiber thermal solution has a way to play that. We're looking at how to utilize some of the technology we developed actually for the hypersonic program and for aerospace programs where liquid cooling and two-phase cooling and sometimes air cooling is very, very efficient. Create a smaller delta temperature across the different components, and certainly a much lighter and cooler solution. So that's the stuff that we're working on right now.
So let's talk about like battery safety and transportation of batteries in general, like damage, defective, recall, you name it. Can you provide a little bit of update on the safe battery transportation partnership with Heritage as well as the battery recycling and what exactly the partnership entails? So you can hit the first part of this part.
Sure. Yeah. So anytime a used battery needs to be shipped, it can be recycled batteries, repaired or refurbished, DDR and others. You need something that's permitted by the Department of Transportation because the battery that's what they call an unknown state of charge, or
Yeah.
SOC. So with the new batteries, they know what it is and they can ship it. But so like I said, we worked with DOT, Department of Transportation, and we got 3 special permits to cover all those areas. Up to 2.1 kilowatt hours can be shipped over ground, air, and ocean. That's the same technology we developed that's on the International Space Station to protect the astronauts' laptop batteries. We call it the KULR Safe Case. So on the heritage, now retrieve technology relationship, it's such a great relationship because they're now the largest battery recycling company in North America end to end. Together we provide they provide the physical logistics and the end-to-end solution to their customers. We provide the safe case that offers the industry's safest, most technology advanced, and the most cost-effective and sustainable solution. Together, we serve the customers. Because the safe case is engineered and designed to be reusable, and it's easy to inspect and so forth. So we take the throwaway habit out of this whole recycling process, and then really complete the reusability and the circular economy. And as you can imagine, if you don't have to throw things away, you can make things more cost effective, right? And it's all more recyclable and more reusable, fully circular, kind of like SpaceX. When you don't throw the rocket away, you can launch many times, and it's just becoming a lot more sustainable. Funny enough that the industry hasn't had solutions like that cost effectively, and now we're bringing to the market with retrieve technologies. Yeah,
and it kind of helps to add on to is that the world is having kind of a lithium shortage right now. So being able to recycle the batteries and make them more efficient, make them more sustainable, this kind of movement really makes more sense on the grand scale of things. So very smart, in my opinion, very smart move.
Absolutely. I think, if you move 100 million vehicles a year all to EVs, I don't think we have enough material on Earth to cover all that stuff. So I think that, recycling is going to become very important. The other thing we think is very important is I personally believe 2 things needs to advance for electrification of vehicles to really to replace the ICE engines. One is, I think the battery needs to be higher energy density. Number 2, I think it's fast charging, because I think fast charging is really the killer app for EVs. People are going towards the direction where, my EV can go 600 miles, mine can go 800 miles. So my question is, why would you want to carry a gas station on your back when first of all, I don't think your bladder can survive 600 miles, so you got to take a pit stop. So number 2, why would you carry a gas station when you can charge this thing up? If the technology is that we can charge in 5 minutes, and nobody's gonna compare, my gas tank is bigger than yours, right? Mm-hmm. So what you end up getting is a battery that's a higher energy density, mm-hmm. that will go maybe 200 miles per charge, and it charges every 5 minutes, or you charge the whole thing full in 5 minutes, and then you just keep going. And then you probably only need a third or quarter of what you use for the current battery, for the future battery pack, and to make the whole car lighter and cheaper. And then so you can get more cars become EVs, and the whole thing it's a positive circular loop. Now that's a kind of a holy grail. Everybody works to that holy grail. Mm-hmm. But I think that that's what we're focused on is, heat is one thing. Removing heat solves some of one of the critical part of the fast charging challenges. And the other one is we're investing in putting our carbon fiber material inside a battery cell to make it higher energy density and also faster charging, because it's you can remove the heat faster. Those are longer term moonshot moves. We talked about at our Battery Solutions Day. I think for the next 2 years, we'll be continue to invest in that technology, and then come to market. And I think that could be a potentially another game changer for us.
Absolutely agree. And the big thing is like what you're saying, like fast charging. That's the biggest difference between people wanting to buy right now, just time wise, buying a brand new EV or buying another automotive combustible engine. Like people can't have to wait 5 to 6 to potentially 8 hours in order to recharge the vehicle. So absolutely, as battery technology upgrades and advances, that's going to really allow people to really transition, as long as people can obviously pay for the price for an EV.
Hey, EV battery technology is slowly advancing towards solid state in the next 4 to 6 years. How is KULR going to react to that?
Yeah, I think solid state is a really interesting area. From what is being kind of publicly played out, you got 2 companies that in the public forum that's going into the lithium metal solid state market, right? QuantumScape being one, and the SES that's kind of a semi-solid kind of a state electrolyte company that just had their battery world day, which is really kind of interesting. But so Bloomberg has a solid state maybe about a 3 to 5% market share of all EVs by 2030. So I think we're still kind of a ways off on that. And we also talked about in our Battery Solutions Day that for our carbon fiber architecture that we're developing right now, we envision this to work with both existing chemistry at the liquid electrolyte and solid state electrolyte across multiple anode architectures and etc. So I would just have you kind of wait and see and wait for our future announcements. Getting into the solid state the battery thermal management space.
Yeah, and I can only imagine how expensive that's going to be once the solid state battery is actually like producing. So I don't think that it's going to be an immediate rotation where every single legacy manufacturer or every automotive maker decides to use solid state batteries. It's going to be very expensive. So
are you able to acknowledge any upcoming opportunities, say in for the company, areas that maybe the company is pivoting to, maybe data centers and crypto mining?
Yeah, I think that we talked a little bit about 5G, cloud computing, data center, right? It's how to improve heat transfer efficiency from the chip to the air to liquid cooling. We believe our carbon fiber architecture play a key role in that. We're taking some of our technology that's developed in the aerospace hypersonic programs, applied to that, and we're looking also additional IPs from the academia and industry players to acquire and combine into it. So stay tuned on that. And in terms of new development and announcements, you can kind of our pattern of kind of how to communicate our technology and our progress with our shareholders has been we, kind of talk about our technology, make that aware to our shareholders first, and then we will announce partnerships and customers launches on top of that, and then and the numbers in our top line revenue growth will show up in our quarterly earning announcements. So I think that it will be probably kind of keeping the same trajectory. Some of the technology that we announced at the Battery Solutions Day, look forward to announce customers and partners announcements on top of that. And then hopefully the revenue numbers start showing up in the following quarters.
Nice, and I could definitely understand that cryptocurrency is not going anywhere. It's going to continue to go. It's going to be an essential thing from here on for the future, especially with how much money is being printed right now. So definitely agree. And data is basically worth more than gold nowadays. So I can definitely see your company take advantage of this situation. So let's talk about valuation. Currently, the market cap is around $344 million. We know that KULR went public in July of this year. Congratulations on that, by the way. The market as well we all know we're always forward thinking. People always look for forward projections when it comes to valuations. Do you feel that Wall Street is fairly assessing the value of KULR? If not, what are some of the hurdles that the company have to overcome to drive more awareness?
Yeah, great question. I'm sure that shareholders would love to know that. Although it's hard for me to kind of comment or speculate on short-term valuation fluctuations as a small and micro cap company. I'm not a predictor of the market. That's above my pay grade. I think of myself more as a student of the market, where I like to learn from history and how some of the most valuable and innovative businesses are built through their development cycles. So I can share my thoughts around that. So I come from the chip industry, so I see analogies and role models where I like KULR to follow their steps. One of my most favorite company, it's just throughout the years, not just recent years, because of how high growth it is NVIDIA. Mm-hmm. Right. So, it started out in the 90s when it was one of among 20 companies in the graphics chip business. And as you see, everybody else has gone, either consolidated or went out of business or morphed to something else. But NVIDIA has stayed true to its color, is true to its heritage. And it's, the founder CEO Jensen, who's the rock star of the tech world, right? What you see is that now the algorithm to solve graphics problems is the most applicable to solve today's most important problems, such as AI, machine learning, computer vision, and these type of problems, and data centers with graphics algorithms. So number crunching as the old CPU is not the critical bottleneck, whereas what they do is the critical bottleneck. So these new applications in the market, such as AI, machine learning, machine vision, and so forth, is what makes NVIDIA now 3 times more valuable than Intel, right? And then that's NVIDIA doesn't even have its own factory, whereas Intel is the whole IDM. So that's an inspiration where if you focus on the right problem set where the puck is going, you have your chance in the sun, so to speak, to shine when the market evolves into where you think the puck is going. So what does that mean for KULR in the battery industries? We believe that the problem set that we focus on solving is just going to get more and more important as the energy density and the performance improves for these, battery packs, electronics. And then as the industry moves through its different chemistries and all the way to solid state batteries and even beyond into 2030 and beyond, there'll be new applications and markets. So keeping things cooler, lighter, safer in the foreseeable future through different means will always be one of the critical components of enabling this. So we believe that, KULR is on the right path and trajectory of the market, where the market is going. And then we want to serve that vertical of the market, as it grows to a $500 billion business, which is going to be kind of in parallel with the semiconductor industry, which is about, $500 billion as well. Yeah. So there are industries in the semiconductor, such as the EDA industry. It's a $120 billion market cap the industry now, right? Collectively combined by 3 companies, Synopsys, Cadence, and Ansys. Used to be Mentor Graphics, then they got bought by Siemens. These are parallels where KULR can learn from and draw from in how we can grow our business and position ourselves in this battery industry. So hopefully that gives you some context about how we think about it. How do we envision we can create shareholder value over the long term in the market? On the awareness side, I think being on the New York Stock Exchange has greatly increased our shareholder awareness. Since June, like I said, we have Vanguard as the 3rd largest shareholder with 3% ownership. And we really continue to tell the story to both retail institutional investors, talk about our strategy, show our growth. You tell them proof is in the pudding, and just continue to execute. And certainly appreciate, retail folks and retail channels like you guys discover us, have an honest conversation, have a dialogue, and dig deeper. and just kind of show ourselves to the kind of true color to all the retail folks has been supporting us since 2018 in our OTC days, now on NYSE, and continue that communication and continue that growth.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say this is that I've always said this to my followers, and I know that the two gentlemen with us, they say the exact same thing, is it's great to invest for the now. But if you want to be a long-term investor and position yourself before everyone else, you always have to invest for the future essential. What's going to be essential not only now, but in the future. And with the money that's being utilized across not only the United States, but globally, electrification transition is happening in Europe, in China, you name it, it's happening. And KULR is positioning themselves right. And I think that it's a smart thing to invest before things start to pop off and kind of follow along the journey. So I think that your positioning with NASA, as well as with all the other companies that you're establishing with, it's just going to continue to grow, and it's going to be exciting to see what KULR does here in the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm very excited for what's to come. And I want to say thank you again for joining us.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, Alex. Thank you, Dana. And thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you finally, got it. Jimmy, Jimbo, KULR. No, I love it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Michael, before you go, will you tell the audience what's in the picture right behind you there? I think people will be curious to know.
Oh, yeah. Let me move myself out of the way. So this is, we are the official thermal management and battery safety partner for Andretti Autosports, or Andretti Technologies, which is the technology arm of Andretti Autosports by Michael Andretti. So It's been a great partnership. The vehicle behind us is their vehicle on the Extreme E-Race, which is a electric SUV race.
So cool.
We're the sponsor on that. So you can see KULR logo. If you go to YouTube, you go for Extreme E. You see a lot of it. The drivers are Katie Cummins and the team, and she's just fantastic. And the next race is going to be UK. The first race was in Saudi Arabia, then Senegal, went to Iceland, and last one was in Italy, then in UK. Really in some of the environmentally sensitive areas. They want to show electric racing. They want to show sustainability. Want to shine a spotlight on how climate change has affected some of these locations. Great cause, and we're partnered. We're just so happy and proud to be partnered with them to provide our technology solution for these folks. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, again, you've said it all. We're grateful for your time today, the comprehensive dialogue. I know that we're all going to digest this and continue to advocate from the sidelines. So thank you again for making time, and wishing you the very best moving forward.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful week.